Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going straight into a really crucial set of sources that honestly force us to look beyond just the mechanics of governance and to focus on its moral core. Our mission today is to unpack these proposals for ensuring true wisdom and ethical leadership actually guide society.
Right. Not just, popular opinion.
Exactly. Not just the fleeting currents of popular opinion.
It's such an essential mission, and it really requires a serious and critical look at modern democracy.
It does.
Because our sources argue that, while democracy is foundational, without certain progressive checks, it can risk becoming what's called P-tantra.
P-tantra.
Yeah, it's a term that's often translated as Mobocracy, or the rule by an uninformed crowd.
Where just the sheer numbers trump any kind of long-term vision.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's unpack that right away. The core challenge in the material seems to be this. We all celebrate voting, but if we only count the ballots and we don't, weigh the integrity or the knowledge behind those votes.
Or the responsibility.
Or the responsibility, right? Are we really setting the best possible course for our future?
That is the central question. And the goal of this deep dive is to explore a progressive path forward, a framework that's designed not just for stability, but for accelerated ethical advancement for society.
And that framework is PROUT.
That's right. We'll be looking at the progressive utilization theory, or PROUT, from Shrii Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar, especially its very innovative Electo system.
A mechanism for securing justice and really lasting happiness.
That's the goal.
So here's where the critique begins. The sources, they really zero in on what they see as a structural flaw in just pure majority rule. I mean, democracy is celebrated everywhere.
Of course.
But its reliance on just raw numerical strength often sidelines VX.
Yeah.
That quality of wisdom, of sound judgment.
And that critique has, serious historical weight. It's probably best captured by the philosopher Dr. Mohammed Iqbal.
Oh, the quote about counting votes, not weighing them.
Exactly. Democracy is a system of governance where votes are counted, not weighed. And what that means in real terms is, well, it's that the ethical quality, the intellectual preparation of the voter, it's just rendered irrelevant.
So the system itself is the problem, not necessarily the people. It's incentivizing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It's like a lottery where every ticket has the same value, no matter if the person buying it has any clue what the prize is for.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. It incentivizes populism, not leadership. And the sources give a really vivid example of this.
The comparison.
Right. Think about a Chief Justice, someone who's highly educated, deeply responsible, has dedicated their life to law and justice.
Okay.
Their vote has the exact same electoral power as, say, a citizen who is completely uneducated, maybe signs with a thumbprint, and is, easily swayed by rhetoric or short-term handouts.
So the system just ignores character. It ignores understanding, wisdom, responsibility, all the things you'd actually want in someone choosing the future.
And when you ignore those qualities in how you select leaders, the system rewards people who are just masters of marketing, of manipulation.
Masters of appealing to what people want right now.
Right now, yeah. Often at the expense of difficult visionary reforms. I mean, just look at current world data. Huge decisions on the economy, on the environment, they're constantly being deferred.
Kick down the road.
Exactly, because the ethical strategies, the ones that need a little short-term sacrifice for a huge long-term gain, they just lose out to the demand for immediate popularity.
And that short-termism, that's the real danger of P-tantra, isn't it?
It is.
We prioritize the loudest voice today, and we compromise the planet, the economy, and, well, future generations. It's just not sustainable.
Which brings us to the core structural ideas of PROU from Shrii Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar. This philosophy tries to overcome the weaknesses of both, dictatorships on one hand and these ineffective mobocracies on the other.
And how does it do that?
By making justice and human happiness the actual metrics for success. The whole solution rests on two principles that have to operate in this perfect dynamic balance.
Okay, so what are they, and how do you make sure that centralization doesn't just become a new kind of tyranny? That's always the question.
It is the critical question. And the answer is in the tension between the two principles. So first, you have the centralization of political power.
Okay.
This says that governance has to be in a strong, organized, and this is the most important part, an ethically accountable structure.
So leadership can't just be arbitrary.
It can't. It has to be defined by high moral character, by efficiency, and by a constant process of self-audit.
So if you centralize political power for that efficiency, how do the sources guarantee it won't just become, a dictatorship, benevolent or otherwise? Where are the checks on that power?
The guarantee is rooted in the concept of the sadvipra.
A sadvipra.
Yeah. In this philosophy, a sadvipra is someone who is morally and spiritually developed, totally committed to selfless public service.
So these are the people who would be in that centralized structure.
Exactly. These ethical revolutionaries. Their moral character is their primary qualification, and their accountability is enforced by the very system we're going to discuss, the Selecto-Electo mechanism, which vets them on ethics, not just skill.
Okay, that clarifies who's driving the ship. So what's the counterbalance? What's the second principle that ensures this doesn't become economic oppression?
That's the second non-negotiable principle, decentralization of economic power.
Oh.
For there to be real justice, economic control has to be distributed among cooperatives, local communities, regional units.
So the structure is designed from the ground up to prevent capital from just concentrating in a few hands.
Which is the root cause of so much economic injustice, right? Local stagnation.
So when we talk about economic decentralization in a futuristic way, what does that actually look like? Are we talking about like local currencies?
Yeah.
Community farms?
We're talking about creating self-sufficient, localized socio-economic units, what PROUT calls samas.
Samas?
Yeah, where production is based on what's available locally and what people actually need. It's heavily reliant on community-run cooperatives for everything: production, distribution, consumption.
So the wealth that's generated stays in the community.
It stays in the community, maximizing employment, maximizing local happiness, instead of being siphoned off to some distant corporate headquarters. It's an economic system engineered for equitable distribution.
This balance is fascinating. Ethical political strength with widespread economic equity. And the sources say this isn't even a totally new idea.
Not at all. We can look back at the ancient Vaishali Republic for historical context. It was a really powerful example of a merit-based system.
Oh, go.
Well, their public suffrage wasn't universal in the way we think of it. The right to vote and to hold office was actually dependent on demonstrated qualification, responsibility, and social contribution.
So you had to earn the right to participate in that way.
You had to. They saw leadership not as a popularity contest, a game of majority, but as a profound, serious duty for the future of society.
That totally flips the social contract. Instead of the voter demanding things from the leader, society demands that the individual contribute just to earn the right to select that leader.
Exactly. The analogy you could use is, think of society like a high-performance vehicle. It needs a centralized, skilled driver. That's the ethical political control.
Right.
But it critically needs decentralized, community-owned engines powering every single wheel independently. That's your economic empowerment, ensuring local freedom and resilience.
That sets the stage perfectly for the administrative solution. This brings us to the Selecto-Electo system, the mechanism designed to make sure competence and morality are, prerequisites for holding office.
This two-tiered process is maybe the most innovative part in the sources. It intelligently combines the need for an ethical filter with the necessity of a public mandate.
It recognizes that the best leaders aren't always the loudest.
Or the best funded. They're often the ones who have dedicated their lives to service.
Okay, let's dive into that first tier, the filtering phase, Selecto. My first question is, how do you prevent the selectors from just becoming a self-perpetuating elite club?
That is the crucial accountability check. The Selecto phase involves selection by expert bodies, intellectuals, moral groups, service committees.
Okay, but who selects them?
Their legitimacy rests on their demonstrated commitment to PROUT's neo-humanistic principles. These selectors aren't chosen based on wealth or political loyalty, but on their proven ethical track record, their status as sadvipras.
So the filtering criteria for the candidates and for the selectors themselves is all about character, intellectual capacity, and a verifiable history of public service.
Absolutely. Not charisma or party affiliation. The process ensures that only people who have spent their lives building competence and prioritizing service even get put forward. The Selecto phase is like a gatekeeper of competence.
So once that pool of highly qualified ethical candidates is established, let's say you filtered it down to 100 people fit to lead, how does the general public get their voice back without just watering it all down again?
That's the second tier, the Electo phase. This is the final validation.
The election.
The election, yeah. The general population conducts the election, but only from that pre-selected high-caliber pool. The public's choice is still paramount.
But the choice is no longer between a competent person and an unethical one.
Exactly. The choice is only between deeply ethical and competent individuals.
Wow. That completely shifts the motivation for anyone who wants to be a leader, doesn't it?
It changes the entire incentive structure.
Instead of spending millions on attack ads, you'd have to spend decades on self-improvement and genuine public service just to get your name on the ballot.
It creates a race to the top based on merit and morality, and this system achieves two huge progressive outcomes. First, it severely restricts the influence of mobocracy, of misinformation, and emotional manipulation.
And second,
it stops the election of unqualified, unethical, or just purely popularity-driven people who, look great on TV but fail at actual governance.
so the outcome is a government that is just inherently more stable, more forward-looking, and dedicated to the long-term progress of humanity.
Precisely. You move from a system designed for pleasing the voters to a governance structure designed for advancing society. It's responsible, it's humane, and it's balanced, which is the only way to secure real justice and happiness for everyone.
So let's bring it home for you, the listener. Today, we dove deep into the need to move beyond simple majority rule. We saw the outlines of a solution: the Selecto-Electo system, ensuring competence, coupled with the economic equity of PROUT's decentralization.
And the broader framework here is all designed to usher in a new era of neo-humanism, where human potential is maximized and ethical action is the foundation of every social structure. This vision requires dedicated moral leadership.
That commitment to being an ethical revolutionary? That's a Vipra.
That's a Vipra, someone who actively works for the progressive and moral elevation of all of society.
That kind of visionary leadership isn't just possible. It's essential for a happy, equitable world for all. If this profound and practical socioeconomic philosophy resonates with you, if you're looking for a structural path toward justice and holistic progress, we invite you to be a part of this movement dedicated to action. Join and subscribe to the Vipra's movement channel and get associated with PROUT, a healthy and all-inclusive socioeconomic philosophy based on neo-humanism. Let's make this world a better place to live for everyone.